Hi, welcome to State of Blockchain Education. Thank you for joining us. We're just going to go around and give ourselves each a bit of a brief bio, but I'm happy to start. Yes, so my name's Lene. I actually am the founder and director of blockchain at Pepperdine, which started earlier this year. It's a center for conferences and events, as well as curriculum, certificate programs, and what I like to call co-laboratories for research and development, where we partner with external industry companies as well. I'll also be teaching Pepperdine's first blockchain course in applications and analytics, master's level, in the spring for the business school there. And I also, in my free time, I counsel and consult with companies on blockchain pivoting and advise and so on and so forth. So, would you like to start?
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Rustie. I'm the head of education at Blockchain at Berkeley. We're a student organization at UC Berkeley campus. We do consulting, R&D, and education, which is more relevant education. I guess we run a few courses on campus, all student run. The most famously, we have our blockchain fundamentals curriculum. We've been teaching that for 6 semesters now. We have over 105,000 students on edX as a MOOC. This will be our 3rd course run, which started last month. We also run a developers track as well. That also has decent traction. And also, we also run like an internal workshops for our members, and also within the community as well to like underprivileged high schoolers and stuff like that.
Hi everyone, I'm Andrew Battat. I'm president of blockchain at UCLA. We are UCLA's blockchain club. Last year I taught UCLA's first 4-credit blockchain course, and I'll be teaching that course again in the spring. So yeah, that's me.
Hey everyone, I'm Kaushal Saraf from USC. I'm a computer science master's student there, and I'm part of the blockchain at USC organization. And what we're trying to do, so about USC's courses, we have had courses from 2017 on blockchain with professors teaching in undergrad. And very recently, we got a minor for blockchain going on at USC with a bunch of 4 courses in undergrad, which talk about use cases and theoretical stuff, as well as a capstone project, which is basically like creating our own startup in blockchain. So we got a lot going on with like the official formal education in USC. Apart from that, we also have a community where we learn and build on products and workshops. So.
Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Eshaghi. I'm one of the co-founders and current president of Blockchain at UCI. And our goal basically is just to give students opportunities to enter the blockchain space through training and workshops that we offer in our events. Something we're currently working on right now is building a collaborative course with our Division of Continuing Education. And that's a certificate-based course that is half conceptual and half technical that we're going to be rolling out as a project with them just to kind of test to see the interest within our campus. And we have been getting a good amount, and hopefully down the line we'll be able to integrate some of those findings and curriculum that we built within our main UCI curriculum. So, yep.
Hey everyone, my name is Piergiacomo Palmisani, and I'm the president of the blockchain club here at UCSB, one of the 3 people who brought you this event. And I took over, yeah, thanks. I took over the club this fall, so I've been on for like 3 months so far, and this has pretty much been the work that we've done in all fall quarter. At beginning of winter quarter, we are planning to start, as you guys accredited, like not accredited, but like courses through the club, so people can learn about blockchain. And also, I'm looking for guidance from you guys since you're already teaching this. And we actually started the first accredited course here at UCSB, but it's taking place at the College of Creative Studies, and it's pretty much bounded to just those students, so it's not really open to everybody. But that was a great loophole that we found into the university system to validate that type of courses and then go to the computer science department and try to get some of those courses into like undergrad and grad curriculum. So yeah, that's pretty much me.
Great, awesome, thank you. So as you can see, we have a great panel, so let's jump in. Maybe one of you could tell us a little bit more about any specific obstacles or opportunities and success stories that you've encountered as you've embarked on this journey.
I think I can speak about that. So we launched, so let me back up a bit. On campus at UC Berkeley, we have a program called DECAL, stands for Democratic Education at Cal. So they essentially let university students with faculty advisor teach whatever the heck they want. So some of us back in 2016 decided to teach the cryptocurrency decal. We quickly rebranded that to the blockchain fundamentals decal, but that's been running for the past 6 semesters with very little faculty help. And the biggest challenge there was to just get the university on board with what we've been teaching. And over the past few semesters, yeah, they've been kind of like taking some of our ideas and making more accredited, or our course is accredited, but worth more units. Yeah, just getting the old like infrastructure and way of thinking onto this new subject matter, I think is the biggest challenge.
Great.
Our biggest challenge was just getting funding. We got funding from an exterior source, so once we secured that, the school was on board. But yeah, there wasn't a big push from the school to start a blockchain course, and I think that's the case for essentially all emerging technologies. The schools aren't jumping on making new classes for technologies that are just coming out. But once we got the funding, the school said yes. And then once the class went well, we thought that they would say, oh, we'll do the class again. But no, we had to get funding again, but we did, so it's happening again.
So I think just to answer that aspect of funding, the way we did at USC was one of our professors, he pushed the course forward with his research and with the industry collaborations he had and got students motivated through a special topic. So it's like an introductory course that he did in one semester, which got a lot of traction, and then motivated the student authorities, like school authorities, to actually get that to be an actual course. So that was a huge push from the faculty that's needed to do an official course. So I think that was a good way to like overcome this funding aspect.
Sure.
From UCI's end, I could definitely say that one of our biggest helps was our faculty advisor, Dean Bill Maurer from the Social Sciences Department. And he's just been very helpful in guiding kind of our strategic arm and kind of guiding the way we recruit new students and host events and what topics we really should be focusing on, and also which topics we shouldn't really be focusing on in terms of the actual help to the students. Something that we've come to notice is that students who, I guess, don't know that much about blockchain don't have a sense of direction. And when they come to these blockchain-related events, a lot of them are, in fact, developers, but they don't really know how to get into the space in a very, very specific way. And that's something we haven't like fully figured out yet, I guess. But in terms of making it more specific and catered to the interests of students, we've been trying to host very like more focused events, as opposed to like events with very broad and general blockchain tracks. We try to do either like a technical training workshop, or another one would just be like a purely networking event. And we've been getting really good feedback from those kinds of events that we've hosted. And apart from that, like I said, we're working on the course, and just getting feedback from the students on what they actually want to learn about has been really helpful.
Yeah, I can talk about my 3 months experience here, and I agree with you guys. The thing with the school is they're pretty neutral at the beginning, because they kind of want to see if we can prove ourselves, and correct me if I'm wrong, especially because this is an emerging technology, so it's pretty new. They don't really know much about it. They don't really want to put their brand behind it, and this is what we experienced with this event, pretty much, which I believe turned out to be pretty successful. So I guess after this, they're going to congratulate. But yeah, at the beginning it was tough. So we had to kind of like navigate the whole university bureaucracy, and that took months. And that's kind of annoying, if you may, but on the other side, I'm originally Italian, so like the amount of resources and opportunities that are present here, especially in the UC system and in Californian universities in general, are incredible. So for me, this was amazing. And if I compare like this to what I would be able to have built out like in Italy, I would say this is amazing. So like the university is super supportive. Of course, then if you go back and see like actually like the time, the amount of time that it took us to get here, it's kind of frustrating. But overall, I think we are proving ourselves, each one of us at their own university, and I think that's great. And just the fact that we're all here on the same panel, getting to know each other, we're literally doing the same thing, and just like building a strong Californian connection, I think that's great. So yeah, let's see where we can get.
Awesome. And I'll just speak briefly for Pepperdine as well. So our center started off as an internal research grant with the objective of something innovative. So blockchain was definitely needed. And then we also made sure to pick out the advocates for blockchain within internally to Pepperdine. So who were the professors that wanted to be involved? Who were the people that could help us make a difference? So that was important. The other important thing was also partnering with industry experts outside. So maybe we could jump into that topic as well and how important it is to collaborate between academia and industry.
Sure, yeah. I can speak about the curriculum we've been teaching, especially as the volume of blockchain education out there kind of like expands exponentially now that everyone kind of understands the key value proposition of blockchain. It's harder and harder to like explain to the students like a core curriculum or a canon of the blockchain space. So we really need to rely on our connections in industry as well as academia and other places. Bring them in, speak to the students directly, and kind of have like explain the vertical path which they may or may not choose to follow, but some sort of expert opinion to guide their educational journeys.
Yeah, I know we struggle with that. Is once we got the course off the ground, the first question was, what do we want to talk about? And we decided to talk about Bitcoin first because, I mean, it's the first thing that people associate with blockchain. I'm sure that many of you, when explaining that you're in the blockchain industry, the first thing you explain is that it's the technology behind Bitcoin. So, you know, we spent essentially the first month of the class giving people, the students, a strong technical understanding of what Bitcoin is. And then we moved on to Ethereum, and then we moved on to Hyperledger Fabric. And I feel like those three are the foundation of a blockchain education, and pretty much everything is built off of those three. So that's where we started, and I still think that that's the best place to start for any intro class.
Yeah, of course, for industry and academia, one thing that we try to focus on is the simple fact that the industry is trying a lot because they're doing it for money, they're doing it for the business. So they're changing and evolving every single day so that they can push new benchmarks. And what better than these guys to come in and tell us what's going on? What do they need from students who want to like actually get jobs or build something in the space? So getting them in, making them teach or like educate students, and also getting them involved in like the technical review processes or like the business review processes of having like an advisor to those projects that we build on campus where, oh, there is a mail chain going on between this advisor from industry and like they're like, oh yeah, why don't you explore this or talk to this person? Having that connection so they get to do mentorship of students, build that for their own company or for a different company, as well as students get mentorship directly from industry. So having that channel open, I think, is very important because we can sometimes box ourselves to having fundamentals and doing a lot of like conversations and like just theoretical stuff. But what happens in the industry is that they are moving and pushing forward. So when you go to events, say suppose like hackathons or like, you know, blockchain conferences like one of these, and there was one in San Francisco where you see, oh, this is the company that's doing something like this. Oh, this is the company that's pushing the benchmark on this particular thing. And then you bring them in, make them talk about it, and then students get excited, right? And students don't get particularly excited about the technology directly as much as they would care about the use case of like, why do I care about it, right? Is voting an important thing for me? Yes, it is. And does blockchain help with that? Oh, yes, maybe. So I do care about blockchain. So I think we took an approach of a use case-based traction of both industry and students and get them a mentorship channel to get that collaboration going. So.
Yeah, I completely agree with that sentiment. One thing I do want to say is that having industry advisors and people who are experts in their field help with an academic organization or club is tremendously helpful, because in traditional classroom settings, I mean, I take classes at UCI. I'm actually an economics student, undergrad there. There are outdated models, and they have to follow very, very rigid sets of curriculum that have been going on for the past 5-10 years. And when you mix in a student club that can pretty much run seminars, workshops with companies that they want to run them with, you get a very fresh set of perspective and ideas. And it's exactly that. It's what those companies are pushing. It's the initiatives that they want to be spending money on. And it gives the students a better connection to the industry versus like going to a career fair and doing things very, very traditionally and long. Sometimes at the events that we hold, people literally will get jobs like within a week from one of like our company sponsors that just happened to be boothing at one of our events. And then I actually had a student come up to me like sometime last year, and he told me that he actually got a full-time job out of just coming to one of our events. So I think it's really moments like that, especially in this particular emerging technology, that make it so exciting for me and a lot of the other guys working at Blockchain at UCI.
Yeah, I agree that industry is a key player in this scenario, especially for, as Ryan said, job opportunities, but also financially speaking, because industry partners look at academia very carefully, and they're very interested. In particular here at UCSB, we're lucky enough to be with UCLA and UC Davis part of the Mousebell UC blockchain initiative. And actually, hey, shout out to you guys. And yeah, they're actually donating $500,000 to start research across these 3 different universities. And I'm talking like donations to like professors, PhDs who have been doing this for years, and they might not have gotten the funds that they need to push things forward and make it to the next milestone. So that's great. And they're also supporting a lot students' projects, which is also very important, because you gotta foster entrepreneurship on campus, because this industry, since it's new technology and stuff, it's very entrepreneurial, and students have ideas. So the school does not really support those ideas in the blockchain space. Industry partners are key players in this, because they're the ones that can come in and allocate money, resources way faster than university, because universities, they move slower because they're huge entities, bureaucratic entities, so it takes long for them to allocate resources. On the other side, I also want to point out that universities are also validators for many of these companies. This space is full of scams, this space is full of fraud, and what's really missing here, I believe, is like validation from academia, like people that have done research for years and years and have developed protocols that actually work. Not just a white paper, poorly written, and yeah, and they raised a bunch of money. That's not a company. That will not work. So when we're hopefully gonna build curriculum and people are gonna learn about this stuff in like CS classes, if part of that curriculum comes from companies, that means that those companies are actually legit. The other companies that cannot make it to that curriculum, they might have a good product, but I think ultimately we are going to be the validators for this industry. And I think academia is missing in the blockchain space, so hopefully we can fill that gap.
Yeah, well, it's so important for learning. I know that the course that I'll be teaching at Pepperdine next semester, it was really important to bring in those industry experts, because I know we were talking earlier about how fast this, how blockchain, how fast it moves in the industry. So how are we going to know in academia unless we bring in those people that are experiencing it and working with it real time, which is very important. So for any companies out there in our audience today, know that you could probably come up to any of these blockchain leaders in the academia space and talk to them about how can we collaborate? How can we work on projects together for research and development? I'm sure you'd all be open to that. And then also, we could maybe now dive into the students in our audience and how important it is for them to get more involved in education at blockchain. And maybe you could talk a little bit about what you're seeing your students are looking for in these classes.
Yeah, so within blockchain at Berkeley, our education department, or our club as a whole, we tend to bring people in from all different types of backgrounds. Specifically within the education department, which I lead, the way we run it is pretty much like an open research lab. Anyone who has, or it's different in that anyone can be their own like PI essentially. So if you have a good idea, come up to one of the heads of education, so me or my co-head, we'll kind of like validate that you have a good project timeline, that the premise is good. We'll connect you with some industry experts who might be able to come in and give you some opinions about what your project's direction, some other resources you might want to take into account, and then kind of like guide them along their own journey that they had ideated from the start. Just some like rails and guidelines for us to help them make sure that they're learning the most that they can. And one of the core tenets within the education department is that we teach by learning, and we learn by teaching, right? So eventually, once they've kind of like understood what they've set out to learn, eventually you'd probably want to integrate that with the curriculum that we teach on campus as well.
Yeah, if you're a student or really anyone who's looking to learn more about blockchain, if you can take a class, either in person or online, that's great. But don't underestimate the power of YouTube or just the internet in general. I didn't take a class. I didn't go to a lecture series. I just learned through YouTube videos, looking up what is blockchain, and then looking up more specific questions from there. So if you don't have a class at your fingertips, that's okay. Just start exploring.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. So as for what students generally look for in what they want to do in blockchain and what they want to learn in blockchain, I think the way we have kind of like shaped our community is that everyone has a different value they want to add to themselves in terms of like what they want to build, or is it the engineering that's like super interesting to them, or like the economic incentives that is super interesting to them. So it's basically the value that they think they can get out of blockchain. And blockchain has a lot of different values that comes out of it, right? And they have a problem which they have seen in the past. So a student recently came up to us and said that they lost their original degree certificate in transcripts just because they had to go through a verification process that takes 3 weeks and costs more than $120 to do, right? And there are solutions that can leverage blockchain as a technology, and she saw that technology work, and within seconds, her transcript got verified. And they're like, oh, that is why I'm here. That is why I want to learn about blockchain, because this impacted my life, and I think this could really make a difference. Sure. So every student has their own value they want to generate, and as you mentioned, it doesn't need to be a lecture or a course or a schedule. Everything's online, and I think there's way more online than right now we're providing in our courses because industry is out there. But yeah, we are here to do this. All of us are here to educate, learn, and build together. So just students, if you're hearing this and you want to get into the space, go talk to your student organizations, go talk to your clubs, go talk to your leaders, because they are there for you. They're there to teach you and to educate you. So just go up and tell them what you need, and they will get you there. So.
Great answers. Just to add a little bit, I'm a huge emphasizer in group collaboration. So if you find literally like a few other people, maybe at this conference or in some of your classes, who are interested in blockchain, work with those people and learn together, because learning together is extremely powerful, and you become more motivated to accomplish more things if you're doing them with other people, and some of those maybe at a higher level than you or lower level. But once you have that support group, it makes learning, I guess, a lot more fun and motivating as well. And that's what I've found to be true with my experiences at UCI. Like, I mean, I don't have like a crazy technical background, but I think I can understand a lot of blockchain principles fairly well. And the motivation for me to get to, I guess, that level was from the other students that I was working on building the organization with. So I definitely think it's important to find your group, and to always go with the mindset of walking away from like either a class or a video or a conference with something to build off of. something very tangible, whether that's like a project that a mock-up project that you got done on a particular day at a hackathon. Like, what can you do from there and actually build from that so you can get better at it? I think if you go into learning anything with that mindset, you're always going to have this cycle of progression, which is what I guess we strive for. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more with what Andrew said. Like, YouTube is a great tool. If you want to learn what's Bitcoin, just go on YouTube or come to this type of conferences, of course, but go there. Like, that's super valuable. You can learn from there like easily enough. And I guess that also allows us to push like curriculum a little bit further, because we don't need to go back and explain every semester what Bitcoin is. So I think that's very important. So the goal here ultimately is like build stuff, because like this industry needs like a lot of stuff that needs to be built. So that's really what I think like the focus of our organizations are, and hopefully are going to be even more in the future. We are literally small academic departments here. I mean, blockchain at Berkeley is pretty big, but we're running a small academic department. And I want to also point out that like the blockchain industry is super inclusive. Like I challenge you guys to go out there and find a, I don't know, data science panel with like people from different universities. Like the fact that we're all here, I don't think it's happening in any other field. I think that's powerful, so yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. And you brought up a good point, too, with student records and verifying records and credentialing. I think it's important to point out that education as a business itself, there's a lot going on with blockchain. So in addition to that and curriculum, we also have ways of protecting intellectual property. There's also data management and also financial aid and funding and ways for students to maybe one day pay back in cryptocurrencies or digital assets. So that's also a very important point to make. So let's talk about what blockchain for education looks like in the future. What are your hopes and yeah?
Well, definitely in terms of IP, something that we have been currently pushing within our curriculum is, so Blockchain at Berkeley, we also help run a blockchain accelerator on campus. There's a startup from France that was doing a blockchain verifiable certificates, and we're currently running a pilot for the class we teach on campus, and hopefully if that goes well, I'll kind of like retroactively use that to recertify everyone who's taken our online courses as well. So the interesting part about that solution is that they're kind of using like a hybrid blockchain and also cloud key management system, so that they have a way to forget data if necessary by the person issued the certificate.
I think it's hard to say what blockchain education will look like in the future. I think that it will reflect more what's going on in the industry. I think that means a little less focus on cryptocurrency and a little more focus on common applications like supply chain. I also think that we'll get more standards in blockchain programming. So I think that Solidity is the #1 blockchain programming language right now. I don't know if that will change. But I just think that more standards will make it easier to define what a blockchain course should look like.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point of like programming languages, and just the thought of that. Last year, we were doing only Solidity, primarily Solidity, and a lot of Ethereum tools. Recently, there's a lot of new technology and a lot of new languages that have come up. So it's like the constant evolution of the way this industry is behaving and how it reflects on the way we build products on campus. So before, we used to use a lot of Infura again, right? But recently, we built a lot on different platforms like Waves platform and like Cosmos and like Tendermint. So like a lot of different platforms rather than just focusing on that Ethereum platform. So for the future, I think of the way that we are trying to like get people attracted towards this is not by motivating them directly through blockchain as like a direct source, but more like motivating them through like, say, suppose there is a cool project and you can come on as a full stack or like a data scientist in that project, which has a blockchain component also to it. So everyone on the team doesn't need to be a blockchain developer yet, but what this allows them to do is to sit next to a person who's doing blockchain and work on a blockchain project. So that way, throughout the semester, what we did that we got full stack engineers, data scientists, and machine learning engineers to work on projects on blockchain. And now they know way more than they used to in the start, and they're more friendly to actually becoming a blockchain person. So they didn't have to care about blockchain in the first place. So every single person doesn't need to be a blockchain developer. And I think it's going to continuously evolve, and that is where the whole industry plug-in of like actually coming in. And one key thing that we have also done is like educational stuff, right? In the sense like reaching out and making them more adaptable to blockchain stuff. So suppose say cryptocurrencies, right? It's the easiest way to get people on blockchain or like discuss about that stuff. So we have an app that's coming up on campus that does like a lot of market simulation of like actually doing trading on cryptocurrency, and you can use it today. It's called Rustie. And what this allows us to do is that actually make students more friendly towards cryptocurrency and trading. And they're like, oh, how does it work? And like, that's where blockchain comes in. So doing that aspect as well as this of use case and like full stack and like all of this stuff. So.
I believe that there will definitely be a focus on technologies that allow you to transition from being a traditional developer into a blockchain developer. Because right now, I mean, there's a fairly steep learning curve, and I think there are a lot of good companies that are working on ways to bridge that gap between the languages you need to know and the concepts that you need to understand. But I definitely, yeah, I agree with your point, and I think that if you focus the mindset on just getting like an inch of the blockchain and showing like a whole population of people who are already developers what they can advance with through blockchain technology, like it's the best way to introduce that to them, because then they'll be like, oh, okay, I know this, but how can I like further my knowledge through learning about blockchain. So I definitely think like making it easier to get into blockchain from an industry that's already somewhat relevant to it is going to be the future of the education space in blockchain. And just in general, I think more classes will be offered as blockchain becomes I guess, more prominent technology. So yeah.
Yeah, I could add that I believe right now the state of blockchain education is very much focused on either cryptocurrencies or development, meaning technical stuff. And also blockchain developers are very, very rare in the space. So that's also why probably a lot of technical people are attracted to the space, because an average medium to senior blockchain engineer has 2-3 years of experience. There are maybe 5,000 certified Solidity developer in the whole world, you know. So that's what attracts people to the space a lot. I wish, and I'm gonna fight for that, to have other job categories coming in. I'm not a technical person, so I would love to have more product managers coming into the blockchain space, project managers that are more getting interested in getting involved with blockchain projects, you know, more marketing people, HR people that just want to go manage blockchain companies. So I think that's going to be what's going to take blockchain education to the next step. And it's great to hear that you guys are starting an accelerator, because that facilitates this whole concept. So yeah, that's my view, and I hope we will be there soon. So yeah.
Sure. Great. Thank you. Did you have any other final comments? Are we taking questions from the audience? Yeah?
Yeah, if there are any questions, we're happy. Yeah, sure.
Comments?
Questions, we can have that more.
So, I understand that some of you guys are working together with Blockchain Acceleration Foundation, some of your schools. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about how this nonprofit uniting some of your organizations has helped you guys with your mission or whatever.
I can probably take that question. I'm also the vice president of such an organization. So yeah, we're currently 11 clubs across California, and as I said before, we're building this strong connection, and I think this is not happening anywhere else. like in terms of like a state and like university within the same state coming together and doing the same thing. Also, like all the universities that are represented are like top 50 universities in the country. So like this is pretty big. And the thing is, we're all guys hanging around and like doing our things, but we're all doing the same thing, and like we're building relationship more than just like business partnership or whatever you want to call that. And I think we can achieve a lot with that, especially because we're all working toward the same goal and we share a common goal. So yeah, next steps are probably gonna be getting funds, hopefully, and in order to just engage with more people, build more cool stuff, and ultimately push this industry a mile forward. Yeah.
I want to quickly add something to that. Something that the Blockchain Acceleration Foundation has made, I guess, very clear is that it is, at the core level, it's student run, or it's students who have, or it's alumni who once were students. And from my perspective at Blockchain at UCI, we've interacted with other organizations and companies who've came to us and said, we want to do something very similar as what staff is doing right now. But those initiatives tend to have fallen apart, I guess, because we have corporate entities controlling are trying to control the things that we do and trying to, siphon money this way or that. But I think when you have education at the core and you have students and alumni running the very clubs that are under this broad organization, it just makes communication, transparency, and really just the things that we're looking forward to doing together so much easier. And that's the value that my school in particular has gotten from BAF.
Any other questions? How are we on time? I think that's... Okay, we got 1 minute. Anything else? Any final thoughts, comments? Yes?
So, talking about the state of blockchain education, but you also mentioned briefly blockchain for education. So I'm just curious if any of you have heard of or are interested in any projects that are going to help, that are going to use blockchain in education spaces. So, for example, one of our portfolio companies are working on scientific research, basically incentivizing testing hypotheses and confirming or disconfirming scientific studies. So, is there anything on your guys' radar?
I think if it might not be directly education per se, but we try to use the concept of, so we're doing a build initiative where we have a bunch of products being built on campus, but the proposals for that is community-based. So it's like a decentralized approach of like anyone can submit a proposal, and after that there is a phase where people actually vote and be a part of that proposal. That, okay, I want to build this. And based on the voting or like the number of votes or upvotes, something like that, or like the people who want to join that team, that product actually sees the way, gets the resources to actually build during that time. So we did a lot of proposal-based, like decentralized proposal-based. It might not be directly education per se, but that's how we build things on campus right now.
Yeah, are you running a DAO?
No, we're not. So it's like a proof of concept DAO, but off technology. Yeah, completely Google suite and nothing else.
I know we've joined forces with academia to submit for National Science Foundation grants and things like that. So strengthening, especially STEM education within the world, using blockchain as a vehicle for distributing that knowledge. So that's one example. But yeah, this is perfect though. This is exactly what it's all about with collaboration. So that's awesome. Well, thank you again, and thank you to our panelists, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you, guys.